What's going on, guys? It's Boxing with Jay. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video below. Also follow me on Twitter if you can for latest updates. The link is below also. So I thought I'd drop this video today on a whim because we have the wax and stacks and the beats and rhymes with you in mind here at Boxing with Jay. So I thought I'd drop this video on a whim, and this video today is about PBC boxing. PBC boxing, is that really the place to be right now? Premier Boxing Championships ran by Al Heyman. Well, he's the main cheese over there. That's who the fighters like to thank in their post-fight interviews, him. And you got Sam Watson, his right-hand man there. And he's their advisor, quote-unquote. But a lot of his fighters are very inactive. You got Andy Ruiz, one fight in 34 months by the time he steps in the ring against Luis Ortiz on September 4th. On pay-per-view. Like, I'll get into that in a minute. And you've got Jamal Charlo, WBC middleweight champion. Hasn't fought in about 18 months. You got his brother, Jamel Charlo, the undisputed super welterweight champion. He's not going to be fighting now till next year, apparently. And that would be one fight in 18 months for him, nearly, by the time he steps back in the ring, which isn't guaranteed at the start of next year. Apparently he's going to fight Tim Tszyu late in January of 2023. Caleb Plant, where's Caleb Plant right now? Who's he fighting? Hasn't fought since the Canelo Alvarez fight, and I saw a tweet the other day of him saying he's an all-time great. An all-time great. He's fought nobody in his career. The one fight he had against Canelo, yeah, he was competitive. Some people had that fight very close. Some people even had Caleb Plant winning the fight until he was stopped. And then he was stopped. So you can't call yourself an all-time great for nearly doing something. And he wasn't going to get that win on the scorecards anyway against Canelo Alvarez. So, you know, is what it is. Like, why is he not fighting David Benavidez? Why is that fight not being made? Like, I don't understand the logic. Why wouldn't you match Caleb Plant with David Benavidez? It's just such an easy fight to make. Both of them are with PBC. Like, these guys don't even want to make in-house fighters fight each other. You know what I mean? Never mind fighters from other promotions. It just mind boggles me. You had Adrian Broner not happy the other day on a Zoom call because he didn't want to be on a Zoom call for his press conference. He wanted a proper press conference. He didn't see the point of it for his fight against Omar Figueroa. And I saw something on Twitter that was interesting. Rick Glazer, some of you might have heard of him. He is an International Boxing Hall of Fame agent. And apparently he's been reached out by PBC fighters, them asking him to see if they can get sparring with his fighters because they're frustrated that they're not active enough. They're frustrated that they're not getting paid to fight and they're getting one fight a year, if that. They can't afford to do it. Some of these guys who are not on millions of dollars a fight, you know what I mean? Some of these guys need to fight regular 2-3 times a year, you know, to keep the lights on. So it is what it is at the end of the day with PBC, but it's not a good look right now that PBC and their fighters are very inactive. Also, I saw something the other day that Keith Thurman is now #1 with the WBC, which is very interesting to me because that says to me that we're not going to see Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. this year. I think they're not going to give Terence Crawford what he wants. I feel like they're going to offer him a not a significant amount of money or whatever he wants, or a split or whatever it is. I don't feel like they're going to offer him that. They've said so much before, and I don't think they're going to budge. But they're going to make out like Terence Crawford was the one who wasn't going to budge and that he's doing this and he's not being serious, etc., etc. Because I think they want to fight Keith Thurman. I think that's going to happen this year. I think we're going to see Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman, a fight that we should have seen about 4 years ago, but we didn't. But now we want the undisputed fight. The only fight we want to see at 147 pounds is Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford for every belt in the division. We don't want to see Keith Thurman against Errol Spence. Will we watch it? Probably. But it's not the fight we want. We'll feel shortchanged. We want Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford left Top Rank to try and secure this fight. Yet I feel like he's not going to get that whisk because I feel like they're just going to want to do their own thing with fighters that are already in-house under their banner at welterweight. And I know I just said before that they don't want to do in-house fights yet in certain situations, but in some situations it's probably best for business for them, so they're not trying to go near somebody like a Terence Crawford who isn't signed a long-term deal with them going forward. You know what I mean? If he does sign, it'll probably be for one fight. So I don't understand at the end of the day why they wouldn't want to make the biggest fight of the year in Errol Spence Jr. against Terence Crawford if it doesn't get made. I might be wrong, they might announce it tomorrow and I'll be completely wrong, but I don't think I will be here. I think that we're going to see Errol Spence against Keith Thurman, you know, October, November of this year. And I looked up the latest schedule for the PBC in the next couple of months, and it's absolutely dire. You've got Omar Figueroa against Adrian Broner. You've got Danny Garcia against Jose Benavidez Jr. You've got Jake Paul versus Hasim Rahman. And you've got Andy Ruiz against Luis Ortiz on pay-per-view. So you've got Figueroa and Broner on the last legs. You've got Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez Jr. And Benavidez Jr. has one leg. And you've got Jake Paul paying Hasim Rahman an arm and a leg to fall over for him on August the 6th. And then Ruiz and Ortiz, you know, Ortiz, 54 years old. Andy Ruiz, one fight in 34 months. Yet you're asking people to spend $70 for pay-per-view for this fight. Like, where's your head at? What are you doing? It's just so bad for the fans. And I know the PBC fanboys, slapnuts are going to come here and probably call me a hater and a bitch and whatever. I don't care. I'm just saying it how I see it. I think these fighters are very inactive. I don't think the fights that should be made are being made. You know, like I said, Caleb Plant, Benavidez, Errol Spence against Terence Crawford. I don't think that's going to happen, like I just said. So I think there are problems right now with PBC boxing, and they need to be brought up, and people need to talk about it because, you know, obviously if this report by Rick Glazer is true, and I don't see why it won't be, you know, his fighters are getting offered sparring by PBC fighters because they're not getting fights. You know what I mean? And they're frustrated and they want to earn money. They want to get paid the $1,000 a day or week or whatever it is for the sparring. You know, they need money to keep the lights on. So yeah, that's just my opinion on this. Very off the cuff, very off the whim. Sorry if I'm spluttering through it a little bit, but you know, it's just all off the top of my head. And sometimes my brain goes a mile a minute, and I apologise for that. But comment below in the comment section, what do you guys think about what I just said? You know, have your own discussions. Comment below. Like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Boxing with Jay. I'm out.